Good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to see all of you here, especially due to this terrible windy situation that we're having. It was crazy windy, yesterday and this morning, and there's a lot of fires going on, so there's a lot of really difficult things happening right now. But it's so wonderful to see all of you here, and we're so glad that you all made it. It's been a very busy month for me. I've been going all around. Last week, I was invited to speak at the Vista Buddhist Temple, and that's down in Southern California. They had a Southern District Teachers Conference. So last week, I flew out like Friday afternoon, and then I actually spoke Friday night and Saturday morning, and I flew back to Sacramento Saturday night, and then I drove to Enmanji Temple in Sebastopol last Sunday and did their Eitakyo service over there. And yesterday, I was at the Jodo Shinshu Center in Berkeley. They had a all-day conference, and it was really nice. It was it's like a little temple conference just for anybody to go. So I encourage all of you, if you see the flyers, to sign up for these events, to really attend. It's a great way to meet people, and as an incentive, I took some pictures because what's really cool is we have one of the volunteers there, and he's like a professional chef. So he loves making food, and he loves to experiment on us. So that alone is incentive. And this year's theme, he did this whole thing of how Buddhism traveled. And so his foods were from India, and then he did something from Vietnam, and then China, and then Japan, and ended with apple pie for America, of course, apple pie. But isn't that cool? This is the appetizer thing. They described all the food, but I know it sounds strange that I say I'm not a foodie. I know I used to have a restaurant, but I'm not really a foodie. I always tell people, Japanese food, you don't cook. You just grill it and put teriyaki sauce on it, and then that's Japanese food. That's not true. So this is like this was something. I forgot what it was. But it was very yogurty. It was good. And then on the top, there's some great samosas, really delicious. And then he made this like salad thing. It was really cool. And, he did a hot and sour soup. Really good? Yeah. Oh, this is see that top thing right there? The top, the orange-looking one and the red one? He made like a tomato sashimi, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah, just really unique. And some sauces. Yeah. And then Jell-O. And then he did bibimbap, because we included Korea there. Yeah. Anybody know what that is? Yeah, see? So we did all that stuff. So it was super cool. Really fun. Ooh, that was a sauce. Oh, Reverend Mar was there. Yeah, that's right. Are my parents here? What? My mom said, oh, how dare you. Okay. This looks like my brother. That's why that's in there. Okay. See, my mom, I even went over there too, and I went over there last week to visit my mom, and I said, oh yeah, I'm speaking at SAC. She goes, you have to tell me those kind of things so I know to be there. Yeah, right. Where are you at? She did send me a picture this morning that their patio umbrella blew away in their backyard. So she did, I guess they're looking for the patio umbrella. That's what happened. Okay. So it's been a wonderful experience. As you know, my part-time job is that I am the youth coordinator with the BCA, the Buddhist Churches of America. And that's why I'm able to really go around and visit a lot of temples. So visiting those temples is a really wonderful experience, and they're all very different, aren't they? And if any of you have been to any other temples, you'll realize that a majority of them, most of them, are much smaller than ours. And it's hard for us to realize that. If this is the only temple you've ever been to, and this is the only place you've grown up, it's hard to realize and recognize that so many other temples are really struggling. And in the cases of these two temples I went to, Vista and Enmanji, they don't even have a permanent resident minister assigned to them. So we have to really remember how fortunate we are to have a permanent full-time minister here. We're very lucky to have someone here to take care of us and to share the Dharma with us. So it's something that we really take for granted. And in visiting these places, you see how grateful they are to just have a guest speaker or to have somebody supervise them. So it just really shapes my perspective a lot, especially coming home and then seeing so many people here today. Usually when we go speak at other places, we prepare and we do all this stuff, and there's literally like maybe 20 people out there in the Sangha. And that's okay. You know, it doesn't matter how many or how little, but it's just really fortunate to have so many wonderful Sangha members here. And no matter where we go, and that's the thing about Jodo Shinshu temples, no matter where you go, there's still always a familiarity, right? We still have a similar onaijin, maybe not exactly the same, and we have similar teachings. And that's the wonderful thing about having this network of temples. When you go visit other places, you're going to go and you're going to still feel familiar. When they chant Junirai or when they chant anything else, you're going to find that familiarity wherever you go. So it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. And all the teachings are the same as well. We are all Jodo Shinshu Buddhists. And at the heart of it, in essence, isn't Buddhism just about how to make your life a little happier? That's kind of an oversimplistic way of saying it, but when you strip away everything, isn't that really what it's about? Just to try to live a little happier life. Yes, of course, cessation of suffering, follow the Eightfold Path. Yes, there are the teachings, but if you take all of that away, ultimately it's about how to live just a happier life without harming anyone else, right? And that's the goal. So why is it so difficult for us to live a happier life? Why is it so difficult for us to make the changes that we need to make in our lives? I'm sure all of us go, you wake up, especially on the weekend, by the time it's Sunday, you look around your house and you're like, I'm supposed to clean up the house this weekend, right? Or especially when you wake up this morning, you're like, who's going to rake this yard, right? After you see all the sticks and stuff everywhere. And you're like, I'll get to it next week, I'll do it next week. Why is it so hard for us to just make that change and get up and do it? Or even bigger things, like if some people are in a little bit of a rut in their life, a stale spot, and they're like, man, I really should study harder and get that extra degree so I can get promoted at my work. But it's so hard. How am I going to sign up for night classes? Who's going to watch the kids at home during the week? Who's going to make dinner? There's so many barriers that stop us from doing what we need to do. But I think that's because you look so far at the end result and it seems so out of reach and so far away that you get overwhelmed and intimidated to even begin, to even start, to even take that first step. So I was talking to a friend of mine and I says, I really need to start exercising again because he takes his lunch hour and he jogs. He works for the state and he takes that lunch hour and he goes and runs by the river. And then he eats his lunch at his desk. And I look at him and I go, man, that's so amazing that you do that. We're the same age, he's 47. And I go, for you to just get up and do that, you're so amazing. That's so good that you do that. And I said, man, I got to do that too. And he just looked at me and said, you just got to start. Yeah, I know, right? And that's not an incredible message or anything, but I looked at him, and he didn't say it sarcastically or mean. He didn't go, oh, just start, loser. He didn't say it like that. He just said it so matter-of-factly. He goes, you just got to start, man. You just got to start. And it was so strangely inspiring because it was so simple and pure that I said, fine, I'm gonna jog tomorrow. And I did. I woke up the next morning and I jogged. And it's hard, it's intimidating because social media is the worst because everybody posts, everybody has that friend. Matter of fact, some of you are in here right now. They post on there, map my run, 8.9 miles, 7-minute mile. I'm like, well, I can't even ride my bike that fast. That's honestly, that's not, and so I'm like, you know what, man? I'm going to post my 0.75 mile. And I put it up there. I said, I'm posting, I'm sharing it right now. 12-minute, 45-second mile. But my friend Mike, he said, he was proud of me. He said, dude, you just start. Just start. And so, my goal isn't to run a marathon. I don't set that goal because if I do that, it's too hard to even start. So a part of that was just getting out there and doing it, and you don't have to compare yourself to anybody else. That's the hardest thing. We compare ourselves because you see your friend or your neighbor that is in a higher position than you, that has a better job or whatever it is, and you compare. But you have to remember that what's right for you is what's right for you. And you don't have to compare to anybody else but yourself and your own desire. So if you want to do better just for yourself, then you should just start and just go for it. I want to share with you one of my favorite videos. It's a little bit long, but let's watch the whole thing just because I love it. So let's just watch it. Of course, Britain's Got Talent. I don't know if you got more sound, Stuart. Can you? Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Good, nice to meet you. What's the act called?
Charlotte and Jonathan.
Charlotte and Jonathan. Okay. How old are you both?
I'm 16.
I'm 17.
Okay. And you thought the combination would work. Whose idea was it?
It was our singing teacher's, actually. She thought it'd be good to try us out together. And we both sounded quite good when we sang what we did.
Okay, you're not saying much, Jonathan. Are you shy?
Sometimes. I've always had sort of problems with my size since I can remember. And when I was in sort of primary school, it was back then really that I had sort of the mick taken out of me, and it kind of damaged my confidence quite a bit. When people would say something to me, it'd just take a little piece out of me in a sense.
I'm quite protective of Jonathan. Like, if I was there and someone stood there and said something to him, I couldn't sit there with my mouth shut. Before you make a judgment on someone, I think you really need to get to know them. It's not, as cliche as it's not judging a book by its cover. You've got to read what's inside.
Charlotte's been a really big help for me in terms of confidence and making me a better performer, and I really don't think I'd be going up on stage today if I didn't have Charlotte by my side.
And do you think you could win?
Yeah, together.
All right, good luck.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here we go.
It's not very often that happens, that you can move an audience like that. You sing beautifully together. It was world class.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
A pop voice and an opera voice together. It was incredible.
Okay, this is what I think. Charlotte, I think you're good, but Jonathan, you are unbelievable. I mean, seriously? have an outstandingly good voice.
Thank you very much.
How old are you?
17.
I mean, that's unbelievable. Jonathan, you are a future star.
Thank you.
I like the fact that this works as a duo, but I worry, Charlotte, whether you're going to hold him back.
Well, we've come on here as a duo, and we're going to stay here as a duo.
Okay, David, we better vote, yes or no?
Such an easy decision.
Yes.
Thank you.
Definitely a yes from me. Charlotte, I think your voice complements Jonathan's really well, so don't be disheartened. It's a yes from me.
You know, my head here would say to you, Jonathan, dump her. And then my heart would say there was something kind of magical at moments together as well. So I'm going to say yes to the two of you. You got 4 yeses.
All right. So you can say horrible things as long as you wink after, right? That's the message. So I guess that's interesting. Have you seen that video before? Anybody? Not everybody, right? It's new to you. Did you guys like it? Did you get anybody a little bit? And that line when Jonathan goes, we came here as a duo, and we're going to stay a duo, and that girl was like, oh my gosh. You just remember she was fanning herself. I love that video. I love that video so much because, number one, it's an incredible surprise. It's a pleasant surprise. And number two, it's a story about just go for it. Just start. You have to start somewhere. These two young kids started probably with, somebody encouraged them to take some vocal lessons. And then their vocal teacher saw something in them and encouraged them to audition. And somehow, by some small, amazing chance, they actually got to audition for Britain's Got Talent live on TV, just because they started. If he began his journey saying, oh, I'm going to be a world-renowned singer from day one, how would you even start that, right? Like, how do you even start that career? But little by little, he did it. And this video is so much more than that, too. It's about not judging a book by its cover, right? It's about having confidence. You saw his hand shaking as he was singing, right? You saw him kind of start early, too, and all that. And you saw Charlotte just calm him down and help him find his balance. But I think, especially when he sings that last note, it's just incredible. It's incredible. And look at the lack of self-confidence Jonathan had in his life, right? Being bullied, being teased, being just pushed down his whole life. Imagine how difficult it was for him to get out there on that stage and share his beautiful gift with everyone. It's very difficult. So I guess that message is to inspire us to say, if someone like him who's that scared and terrified and nervous can overcome those odds, I think each and every one of us also has the ability to take that step and just start in our lives, whether it's exercising, whether it's eating more vegetables or whatever it is. Cleaning your house, cleaning your room. Kids, clean your room. You don't have to get overwhelmed and say, how am I going to clean this entire pigsty? It's impossible. Just start. I know that's not what Marie Kondo says, but I encourage us to just begin. So remember, don't let a giant goal or dream discourage you from taking that first step. Don't just look at the end result and think it's too overwhelming to even begin. Instead, just remember that everything must begin with a first step. And sometimes the first step is just start. Naman notes, naman notes.